All right, so we're going to look at how to create a beam system. So the first step to create the beam system, we're going to want to upload the beam type that we want to use for our beam system, okay? So to do that, I'm going to click on beam, all right, and we're going to load that beam prior to selecting it in the beam system, all right? So right now, I've actually already loaded 4x8, which is what we'll use for this example, for the critical thinking exercise. But let's just say we wanted a different dimension of lumber, and let's go ahead and upload that now. So if we go to structure and we go over to beam, we would go to edit type and load, okay? And now there could be a variety of places where the beam could be located, okay, just depending on the material or the type of beam that you're looking for. Most of what we'll use in this class is going to be under structural framing. This is going to be all of your basic residential framing will be in this location. Once you get up to the point where you're starting to get to like heavy steel, you'll start to actually maybe going into some of these other categories, but you can still find a majority of the steel, concrete, wood, all of those types of framing elements will be under structural framing. So if you click on structural framing, you'll notice that you have the options for concrete, light gauge steel, precast steel, and wood. We're going to go into wood, and then we're going to go into dimensional lumber, okay? You'll notice that you have several other types of beams that you can also load in, like glue lams and other different types of pre-engineered beam systems. So we're going to click on dimensional lumber, and then from there, you'll be given all of your basic types of dimensional lumber. This is all stuff that you can find at Home Depot. It's all just your basic kind of wood framing options. So you're going to select 4x8 for this exercise. You're going to hit OK. It will load it into your system. We're going to go ahead and hit OK. All right. From there, we're going to click on structure up in your ribbon, and you're going to click on beam system. Okay. Before you click on beam system, you may want to observe some of the different placement options of where that beam system is going to be. So it asks you, is it going to be on level 1, etc. That's not necessarily important for what we're doing because we're going to select the reference plane that we created earlier in the class. Okay, so what I did when I created my reference plane, if we go to the west elevation here, I started it out at this point, which is the level 2, is the intersection of the wall and level 2 as it shows in the diagram. And I think I mentioned that the slope of the roof should be 2 to 12, okay? So what that means is for every foot of run, there's going to be 2 inches of rise, okay? So knowing that, you should be able to calculate what that angle is relatively easy, okay? So what I did is I just drew a reference line that is just simply 1 foot long. So you could go up to annotate, detail, and you could go 1 foot, and then you can go up 2 inches. And if you start your reference plane at this point and you connect it to this point right here, and then extend it all the way to the beyond the face of your building, that's all you got to do. You'll know that you have that correct at 2 to 12. Okay. So we'll delete those lines, and if you go up to architecture and reference plane, you can then draw that reference plane in place, okay? Once you draw that reference plane, you can click on it and you can give it a name. You want to do that so that you can easily identify your reference plane when you're creating your beam system, okay? So that's about half of the step right there. We have our reference plane. So now if we go back over to our floor plan, and it doesn't matter what floor plan that you're really working in. Ideally, you want to, I guess, work in whatever's closest to where the beam system is going to be. But I'm going to go through and I'm going to select, as long as I know that my walls on the exterior of my building, if I know they're the same on level 1 as they are as level 2, 3, 4, 5, it doesn't matter where you draw the beam system, because the most important part is just knowing where those exterior walls are. Now, if your walls were like canted, or if it went up and maybe it changed directions somewhere above level 1, then obviously you want to make sure that you're using what's closest to where the beam system will be, so you know where those exterior perimeter walls will be. So we're going to go ahead and click on structure. We're going to click on beam system. All right. So prior to drawing the boundary line of where that beam system will be, you're going to want to set your work plane, okay? If you try to set the work plane during the process or after the process of drawing your boundary lines, you won't be able to select the reference plane. It will not show up, okay? So set the reference plane prior to drawing your boundary lines. So we're going to click on Set, and under Name, if I select the little drop-down menu, I can click on Reference Plane Beam System. That's the reference plane that we just created, and I'm going to hit OK. As it says in the exercise, I believe we're going to go ahead and we're going to select the outer perimeter of both of these walls, okay? And we're going to create the back of the framing system at a 3-foot offset from our back wall. Oh, is that 3 feet? It is 3 feet. Why is that not working? Give me just a sec. So we're going to do a 3-foot offset.
Still.
Go up.
The center line giving you.
Yeah, I don't know why that's doing that. Okay, we're going to take another approach. I don't know why it won't let me grab my outer line, but I'll just draw this 3 feet. All right, and we'll go ahead and connect this over here. Let's trim our lines closed. And then we're going to want to let our roof, our beam system overhang the front of our building by 8 feet, okay? So you're just going to either use your pick lines or draw in an 8-foot overhang, okay? So it looks something like that. I'll go ahead and trim my lines complete. Now there was a question earlier about getting the beams to line up in the correct direction, okay? So what I'll do now that I've outlined where my beam system will be located is I'll go up to where it says beam direction, okay? So because I want my beams to flow all in this direction right here, I'm just gonna simply draw a line. Doesn't matter where it is. I'm just gonna draw a line from where I want them to start to where I want them to finish, okay? So that's simply telling Revit what direction you want the beam system to go in. If you wanted it to go in the opposite direction, you would simply just draw it the other way, okay? But we're gonna leave it the way that we had it in the first place. All right, so from there, you're just going to hit check. And let's look at it in 3D. And there's our beam system, okay? So right now, it's just going through our storefront. That's okay. As soon as we put in our roof, we'll connect all of our walls to our roof, and it will look just the way that we want it to. Okay? Questions? All right. So that's going to be how to install the beam system.